This video summarises the changes from TEF Year 3 to TEF Year 4. This video is one of a series we're producing to support students and higher education providers with Year 4 of the TEF. The first batch of videos will be available online in mid-November. We're running 2 face-to-face events in late November focused on writing provider submissions, so we'll incorporate any topics and questions arising from those into the writing provider submissions video and publish that in December. The final video will be published next year to support communications teams in the run-up to the publication of TEF outcomes. We're also publishing a separate series of videos to support the TEF second subject pilot, and those are aimed at the higher education providers participating in the subject level pilot, but they will be available to everyone via the Office for Students website from late November. We published TEF Year 4 procedural guidance on the 22nd of October. It updates, supplements and should be read alongside the TEF specification, which was published by the Department for Education in October 2017. The videos are designed to highlight key information from the guidance in an easy-to-access format that you can pick and choose from, but they don't provide definitive guidance. For definitive guidance, please see the procedural guidance and specification documents. Links to the documentation are provided on this slide and again at the end of the video. The current TEF specification was published by the DFE in October 2017. It sets out the assessment framework and specifies the criteria, evidence and process for provider level TEF in Year 3, the academic year 2017-18, and in future years until a new specification is published. The Office for Students TEF Year 4 procedural guidance updates, supplements and should be read alongside the TEF specification. The TEF specification remains valid for TEF Year 4, the academic year 2018-19, but it is revised by some technical updates which are detailed in the procedural guidance, indicated in the guidance by a yellow box. So why are there any changes? Well, the assessment process for TEF Year 4, which is the last year of provider level TEF, is unchanged from TEF Year 3, but the technical revisions were required to reflect the implementation of HERA, the Higher Education Research Act, the transition to subject level TEF, which will commence from 2019, some improvements to the TEF metrics, and the period of time covered by the TEF Year 4 has rolled on by a year. So, taking HERA first, the Office for Students, the OFS, was established by the Higher Education and Research Act 2017, known as HERA, which became fully operational in 2018 in April. The TEF is the scheme that the OFS has adopted under HERA, Section 25(1), as the sector-level intervention to promote excellence in teaching and outcomes. So with the commencement of HERA, in the TEF specification, all references to the Higher Education Funding Council for England, HEFCE, and the Office for Fair Access, OFFA, should be read as referencing the Office for Students or the OFS, and similarly, all references to the Director of Fair Access or DFA should be read as referring to the Director for Fair Access and Participation or DFAP. The OFS regulatory framework for higher education in England is required under Section 75 of HERA. It replaces the previous regulatory framework for higher education in England and was first issued by the Office for Students in February 2018. The OFS regulatory assessment processes supersede previous mechanisms for assessing whether a provider satisfies TEF eligibility criteria for student support, quality, widening access and participation in England. So the OFS regulatory framework for providers in England requires changes to the processes for meeting TEF eligibility criteria. A provider that's registered with the OFS by the 30th of May 2019 and continues to satisfy all its ongoing conditions of registration will now meet TEF eligibility requirements for quality, designation for student support, widening access and participation. These changes do not apply to providers in Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland, and the TEF specification stands for those providers with some tiny updates that are listed in the procedural guidance. To date, the TEF has operated at provider level, which means it's assessed the general performance across a university or college, producing a single rating for the whole provider. The DFE is committed to introducing TEF at a subject level to provide more useful information to prospective students about the subject they're looking to study. Up to now, each TEF exercise has been completed within a single academic year. However, given the scale of the first full subject level TEF exercise, it will be conducted across two academic years, 2019-20 and 2020-21, to enable it to produce robust outcomes. We expect the application window to open in early 2020 and to publish the outcomes in spring 2021. The diagram on your screen summarises the TEF development timeline. So this transition to subject level TEF requires a change to the maximum duration of TEF awards, which I'll look at in more detail in a moment. But in summary, all TEF Year Four awards will have a maximum duration of 2 years. TEF Year 2 and TEF Year 3 awards that were due to expire in June 2020 will be automatically extended by 1 year until the first full subject level TEF ratings are published in 2021, unless the provider wishes to opt out of that extension. So on your screen now, you can see in detail what happens to each existing TEF award. The final provider level exercise, TEF Year 4, will take place in 2018-19 and will operate completely independently from the subject level pilot. So that subject level TEF produces comprehensive outcomes to inform student choice, the DFE has decided that published awards from provider level TEF Years 2, 3 and 4 should no longer be valid when subject level TEF awards are published in 2021. So at that point, all awards from provider level TEF will expire and be replaced by awards made through the first full subject level TEF exercise, and those awards will be made at both provider and subject level. To achieve this, the duration of awards made from provider level TEF, Years 2, 3 and 4, will be adjusted as illustrated on the screen. So that means all TEF Year 2 and 3 awards that were due to expire in 2021 will be extended by 1 year. TEF Year 4 awards will last for 2 years to 2021, so that's regardless of how many numbers of years suitable metrics you have, and applies also to provisional awards which were previously only valid for 1 year. All awards that are due to expire in June 2019 will still expire. So if you hold an award that's going to expire in June 2019 and you wish to hold an award from 19 to 21, you should apply for a TEF Year 4 award. So looking at the metrics improvements that have been made from TEF Year 3 to TEF Year 4, the grade inflation supplementary metric data has been generated centrally by the OFS for the purposes of TEF Year 4, and that's available in the TEF metrics workbooks that have been issued already, where providers hold taught degree awarding powers. It's not been produced for providers that don't hold TDAPs. This replaces the requirement in TEF Year 3 for a provider declaration of grade inflation data, but all providers can include other evidence of rigour and stretch in their provider submission. The LEO dataset has also been enhanced since TEF Year 3, such that the information it contains on self-assessed employment and earnings is now available and consistently defined across all 3 of the graduating cohorts that contribute to the TEF Year 4 supplementary LEO metrics. Graduates in self-assessed employment will contribute to the calculation of both the LEO-based TEF Year 4 metrics, and the above median earnings metric definition will no longer be limited to graduates with recorded PAYE earnings. An additional split is also introduced, showing the population excluding graduates in self-assessed employment only, and this split's been added to reflect the fact that earnings data for self-assessed employment is not directly comparable with that for PAYE employment because of the differences in collection of the data. Looking at POLAR, the methodology used to derive a student's POLAR quintile is updated from POLAR 3 to POLAR 4. Further information, including the differences between POLAR 3 and POLAR 4, can be found on the OFS website. The Office for Students is designated as a producer of official statistics, and as such complies with the UK Statistics Authority's Code of Practice for Statistics. In line with the code, the OFS would normally expect to provide free and equal access to its stats through their publication prior to any release to third parties such as providers or panel members. On any occasion that the OFS grants earlier access to its statistics, circulation is very strictly limited and solely for the purposes of quality assurance or operational requirements. The OFS has released TEF metrics and contextual data to each potentially eligible UK provider that has any TEF Year 4 metrics data available, whether or not it meets the definition of suitable metrics. Once the data is assured, i.e. at the conclusion of the data amendment process, we will publish TEF metrics as official statistics for providers in England. The publication will include the core metrics and splits, supplementary LEO metrics, supplementary grade inflation data, and the contextual data in the same format as they'll be presented to panel members and assessors. For providers in Northern Ireland, Scotland and Wales, publication strategy for TEF metrics is a devolved matter, and the devolved administrations have decided that TEF Year 4 data will only be published for providers that choose to participate in TEF Year 4, and their data will be published on the 24th of January at 9:30 in the morning. For guidance and the rest of the video series for TEF Year 4 or the TEF subject level pilot, please see the Office for Students web pages. For inquiries about participation in TEF Year 4 or the subject level pilot, please contact the TEF team at the Office for Students. For inquiries about TEF metrics and the TEF extranet, please contact the TEF metrics team at the Office for Students. And for queries about TEF policy, please contact the Department for Education. All the links are shown on the screen. You may reuse the content of this video under the terms of the Open Government Licence. If you adapt the slides, though, you should be aware that the content can't be used in a way that suggests the OFS endorses you or the use of the information. Thank you very much for listening.